good to be back with you here in the Issues Room on our 57th edition from Monrovia, Liberia. This is Volcano Shelton coming your way live. I will be joined by Moses Sandy shortly, but again, we want to welcome you, our viewers and listeners, wherever you are, all over the world. We say welcome to the Issues Room. The Issues Room is the alternative social media platform here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, the Issues Room page, and we can also be heard on ABC FM 105.1 in Monrovia, Liberia. Again, we say welcome wherever you are. It's a pleasure having you. Our conversation tonight will be centered around two cardinal points. Let me join in Moses Sandy from his end out there in Delaware, the USA. Moses, welcome to our 57th edition here in the Issues Room.
It's good to be back, Volcano. How is Monrovia today? It's good to be back with you, Volcano. How is Monrovia? Are you okay? We having a communication problem again tonight. You seem not to be hearing me. Yeah, but I hear you very clear and loud. We having problem. We having problem.
I'm having a little bit of difficulty hearing you. I guess it's
Yeah,
the interface
yeah,
of the system and the distance between us. I'm sure that has
yeah,
to do with it because of the internet connectivity here in Liberia compared to the US and the little bit of sticky, ness to it. Sometimes the buffers, but I know our viewers and our listeners always say that everything comes good on the end, but from
yeah,
studios here in Monrovia, sometimes it's so hard to really understand what you're saying. But the most important thing is that we already know what we're going to be talking about, and so that helps to drive the conversation. Let me just quickly remind the viewers out there, if you're here with us, please come in the chat room. Let us know you're picking up signal here on the 57th edition of the Issues Room. Again, we'd like for you to let us know you're here, our viewers and listeners out there in social media world. Moses, I'm hanging in there. The sun is amazingly hot here in Monrovia. The congestion, the traffic, too many human beings. so we body to body.
Look, man, I got it. I got it. You are in West Africa, so I got it. Dealing with the tropical climate. Yes. hmm Go ahead.
So what's on your end for trending issues in the news tonight?
Well, the top story is that I think the collaborating political parties, the CPP, has finally crumbled. The Yombi Kanga faction of the Labour Party yesterday withdrew from the CPP. Right now, what we have is Musa Biliti's wing of the CPP, I mean, of the Labour Party, and Alexander Cummings of the Alternative National Congress making up the quote unquote CPP. The purpose for which the CPP was founded, primary reason, is to make George Weah a one term president. But I think that purpose has been defeated. The CPP has finally crumbled. Anything now is in what? Theory. That's where we are. That's the most important stories of the day. Yeah.
Okay. So from my end, today I got pulled over by the police. So interestingly, right?
Finally.
Yeah, I got pulled over by the police, and it was nostalgic for me. Because in America, when you get pulled over by the police, it's just that the two scenarios are not the same. But in honesty, I kept myself responsible, professional. What happens? It was I was at pushing 20th Street. There is a traffic light, but that light is always congested. Even though the light says red or green, people still try to plow through it. So of course they have some police officers sitting around. So as I was approaching the light, my phone rang. And as soon as I threw my head down, the light changed. So I was almost like about to go into the light. And the guy slammed on the car, knocking the car, and I stopped. And he's like, "You going through the light?" I said, "No, it was not intentional. I didn't see the light by the time it turned red.
Yeah.
However, I have not gone through the light yet.
Yeah.
I'm stopped." He says, "Yeah, but you're almost on the crosswalk." And I say, "I apologize." So the first thing he does, he opens my door, comes in. Another guy jumps into. He opens my door, comes in, and the third person. So everybody in the car now, and they say, "Turn the car off the road." So I turned the car off the road toward the JFK side of 20th Street, and we sat there. And he said, "What's your license?" So I took my license up out of my pocket rather, and I handed it to him. And he looked at it. He said, "How long you been here?" So I said, "About 2.5 weeks." He said, "Okay. So how long you gonna be here?" I said, "That doesn't matter. Isn't my license legitimate?" He said, "It's legitimate, but we need to know. So if you're here for long, this license has to be changed." I said, "I wouldn't be here that long for me to have to change my license." He said, "But we'll get you a ticket." So I said, "What did I do?" He said, "You almost went through the red light." I said, "But then he said, I almost. I didn't go through the red light. I stopped immediately when you banked on the car. And I explained to you why I just got hit by a
Yeah.
phone call. And as soon as I threw my head down,
The
apparently the
light
light
change.
changed red. And as soon
Yeah.
as you touched the car, I stopped." So I started to apologize. He said, "But you seem to be, a decent guy. You're not making noise or anything. So the rule here, if I take your license, if I issue you a ticket, I have to seize your license for 3 days. We have to hold a license so that you go and pay before you get your license." So I said, "Well, where am I in my situation? How will you take my license if you give me a ticket? Then how you expect me to drive? I won't be able to drive for 3 days." So he said, "Yeah, but that's the rule here because we don't have a database here like you guys in the States." So we kind of talked, and he said, "Listen, you seem to be a good gentleman. You're right. You didn't go through the light. Had you gone through the light, we'll issue you the ticket, but at this time, we'll forgive you. Try to be safe when you're going through these lights." I said, "Thank you so much. I will definitely be safe." But that was the kind of conversation. I respected the police officers. There were a lot of them in the car with me. And as soon as you in trouble, everybody jump in the car. So it was three against one. So I kept my professional demeanor.
Yeah.
We had a good conversation, but I applauded them for being understanding and that we were able to compromise or talk.
Yeah.
Because in some instances, you know, again, it doesn't matter what country the police officer comes from. I think the lesson learned here is that we must respect our police officers, irrespective of the situation, irrespective of them not having the big guns or the police cars and all of that. So long they're in that uniform, we must give them the respect and the due courtesy. And I think that helped me, through this day, and I was able to save because I think they said they were going to fine me $50 USD, and then take my license from me for 3 days. That was the traffic violation fine, but we're able to compromise that it actually didn't come to that violation because I didn't go through the light, um, even though I approached the crosswalk, but I didn't go through the light. So that's mine. Little trending issues in the news, and I thought it was a good
Yeah.
conversation with the police officers. They were very understanding, and my approach and demeanor was poised, responsible, professional, respectful, and so they allowed me to go. I'm not going to talk about the last part of the conversation because
Why,
I wouldn't leave for nothing, but yeah, but at least
I almost asked you a
I was
question
able
on
I
that.
was able to leave. Yeah, so that part, we keep it
I
as
got
is,
it.
but it
Yeah,
was a professional experience for me today.
I got it. But look, the question I would like to ask, they would have almost given you a ticket for $50 US. Okay. Now the question that comes is that how many local drivers in Monrovia can afford to pay a fine of $50 US? I thought this thing here should be based on the local currency. Is it because that
Well,
they saw you with a
yeah, I
US
mean, it
a
could
driver's
be the
license, so you
equivalent of
should take
fifty
a
US
$50
dollars.
ticket?
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It just has to do with the amount that they're charging is 50 US dollars. So you could, you know, put it in what you call what's the stuff name?
If you
Liberian
do,
dollars.
yeah, if you do the conversion, that's a lot of money. How many of our drivers, and I'm being honest here, how many of those people can pay 50 US dollars in local currency for Canada?
Well, honestly, Moses, if half of the fines, you know, in the U.S., the police department depend on fines. You
Yeah,
know that traffic
I do.
ticket violations, you
Hmm.
know, different kinds of fines, and that's how they get a quota to get ranks and salary increment,
Yeah,
and also raise the kind of money to help with the department. So had the Liberian police really go full blown implementation of the traffic rules and regulations, they'll make thousands and thousands, if not millions of dollars. Because just imagine a pimping man that the light is red, those guys crossing from all angles, they don't care, you know. So for every
yeah,
violation, you know, people will pay.
yeah, yeah.
Taxi
People pay.
drivers, trucks, and all of those things. Broken down vehicles on the side of the road, trying to fix the car in the middle of the road. All of those things, you know,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
police will be able to really generate money to help with the different police departments across the country. But again, sometimes corruption play into it, and it doesn't go far. But we really need to move forward with the kinds of, you know, database
yeah.
to help
To hold people
improve the
accountable.
financial intake of the police departments around the country, particularly
Well,
central, based on the kind of, you know, rules and regulations they put in place and implementation for that matter.
let me join you in saying thanks to the officers, for the favor render you. Uh, like you said, you and I, we know when you are pulled over here, you sit behind your steering, and the officers come, they tell you exactly why you were pulled over, and you adhere to whatever directive that they gave you. So I'm happy that you were able to display that, and the officers were considerate. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. It was a good experience. I saw that, you know, I knew I was under the law for that matter, irrespective of which country I found myself. The fact that you have an interaction with a police officer, you're under the
Yeah.
law. So you just
Yeah.
have to stay obedient. You have to be respectful, responsible, professional, you know, make your case, but make it professionally, which I did. The fact that the fact is rather, I didn't go through the traffic light. I stopped because he banged on the car and I immediately stopped. Which of
Yeah.
course saved the day because he said, had I not banged on your car,
Stop.
you would have
Yeah.
gone through. I said,
Through the law.
probably you're
Yeah.
right. Because
Yeah.
when the phone rang, my head went down to look
And
at
I was
who
turning.
was calling. And by the
Yeah.
time I lifted my head, the light was red and he simultaneously banged the car. So everything just happened in one quick motion,
Yeah.
but it was a good experience.
Okay.
So Moses, tonight we have two important issues to talk about. We'll go with the first one,
Yeah.
and that has to do with the recent podcast of Mr. Henry Costa of the Costa's show, um, who said that he had a call from President George Weah, and he went on to explain everything that he and the president talked about after gaining the go ahead from the president to make public this conversation because he was trying to owe it to his followers,
Hmm.
and it's impossible to say that he may have forbiddenly say everything that really that conversation was about. Hopefully,
Okay.
he may have captured the key, ingredients within the conversation. He seemed very genuine. He also seemed very relieved. The fact that the president had given him the assurance that he can return to Liberia without any form of,
Yeah. There's going to be no
reprisal from the
prosecution.
government
Yeah. No
or,
prosecution. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, legal um, proceeding from the government or so forth. Um, but there has been mixed
Reactions.
views on this. Some thinking the other way that maybe the president, since that Costa is a vocal voice, is critical of his government, is critical of him, and so it's time to reach across the aisle to win him back and see if that can cripple further the current CPP coupled with the Unity Party. Moses, let's
Yeah.
first look
Look
at
at, yeah,
the issues.
Nicole. Like you said, I think it is laudable the decisions by the president to reach out to Henry Costa. It is no secret. You and I know, peoples of the world know, that Henry Costa is a brazen critic of the Weah administration. Not only a brazen critic of the Weah administration, but this is the man who reduces George Weah to the lowest ebb. He calls in all of the names that I'm not prepared to call the president of the Republic of Liberia on this podcast. Anything that you can think about, anything negative, any word that comes to his mouth, he uses that against George Weah. So for the president to even uh, muster the courage to reach out to Mr. Costa, I think is highly commendable. That hey, I'm the president, and if I may, quote unquote, uh, say what Mr. Costa said yesterday, that hey, the president said he's like the garbage can. He takes everything. Anything that you want to get rid of, throw it at me, I will take it. And so the president reached out to him. They had a very good discussion, and they tried to reconcile the differences. Mr. President say, hey, Henry, you left Liberia. We have nothing against you. If you want to come back, Liberia is a country. You can come home. We have nothing to prosecute you. We have no case against you. Now, don't forget the condition under which Mr. Costa left Liberia was a very, I mean, it was very dangerous condition. This man fled Liberia. He made his way to Sierra Leone. He was sought after by security officers only because of what? Laissez-passer. And today, he's in the United States. What we have in the public domain is that he was accused of committing a crime, and because of that, the government had a claim against him. Efforts were even being made to have Mr. Costa extradited to Liberia. So, according to Mr. Costa, he talked to the president, the chief law enforcer of Liberia, and he said, well, Henry, you can come home. We have nothing against you. I think the action of the president is laudable. That this is the time to mend faces. I mean, mend fences. There are a lot of people out there of Volcano who say that George Weah is someone who doesn't forget, you know? So he has proven them wrong. I know they reached out to Mr. Costa, uh, Mr. Shelton. If you were to talk to some insiders of the Weah administration, some insiders of the CDC, you talk to you talk to Jefferson Koji, Moba Molu, Akaras Gray, and other diehards of the CDC. A good number of them will tell you that they disagree with the president on this one. Because as far as they are concerned, Henry Costa is, quote unquote, an enemy of the administration, an enemy of Mr. Weah, and there's no need to reach out. But hey, the president has proven all of them wrong. That hey, we all Liberians, whatever happened in the past, we let it go. It's time to start, afresh. Now, others will say that hey, there's a political motive, right? 2023 is less than 24 months away. And whether you and I like it or not, Henry Costa is one of the most popular uh, advocates, social media advocates. Uh, we can give that to him. He's very popular at home and abroad, and he has done a lot of advocacy work. So someone will say, well, um, Mr. Weah want Mr. Costa to come back to base. And so they decided to reach out as part of the political strategy. Because, like we always say, 2023 is going to be a critical year in Liberia. 2023 is about the future of Liberia. Mr. Weah and the CDC, they don't want anyone to do anything that will make them to lose 2023 presidential election. George Weah wants to be re-elected. So anything he can do to retain that position, of course he will. Of course the CDC will. That's how I see it. There are political objectives, and besides the political objective, I would say that there are other objectives. However, let me say it again, reaching out was laudable. Mhm.
Thank you. Let me quickly recognize some folks and we'll continue on this topic. Jennifer
Yeah.
and Charlie, good to have you in the issues room tonight. Welcome to the show. Please spread the word, invite someone. Uh, Adiaha, Weado, welcome. Adiaha Umo. It's also good to have you. Muro Mason, Charles Crawford, our brother, welcome. Sakar Dane, been a while. Good to see you back. Wu King Frank, uh, it's good to have you in the house. Mapla Nikia, Momolu Freeman, the Reverend Momolu Freeman. Great to have you in the issues room. Thanks for following us. Please share the link. Please invite someone to come and join us here tonight. It's good to, have you guys. But Moses, listen, people will say the timing.
Yeah.
The CPP is almost probably obsolete if you come to think about it, because we'll come to that later.
Yeah.
And the CPP was formed with the motive to make President Weah a one-term president, and to have Henry Costa, or Costas rather, as one of the voices, uh, supporting the media aspect of the CP people, particularly aligned with the Unity Party, who is a voice for presidential aspirant Joseph Boyka, reaching out to him at his time. And I don't know Costa, like that per se. I don't know his character, but there has been times where people say Costa double deals. Uh, he likes the cash. He's easily bored. Someone just posted here that he's a traitor. So there's a lot of these kinds of public sentiments around this time, and for him to come out and make the disclosure, and he seemed very relaxed. He seemed very, you know, uh, I would say, comfortable uh, as he was uh, deliberating on the conversation. Again, we don't know the conversation. It could have been come back to us, but he said the president never made mention of that. So yes, so people are concerned. And what do you think at this time? Those followers of Mr. Boycott, because mind you, Costa was never with Mr. Boycott.
No.
I think he started out with Ben and Yuri at
Mhm.
some point, probably,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
CDC, and then things fell, because I remembered him when he was on Boyka's back, so I was totally shocked when he came on board with Boyka. We have been something that took place with his relationship with Ben and Yuri, his relationship with CDC that brought him. So people sway, and
Mhm.
so some folks from the opposition now are afraid what could be, melting behind the scene. So, what do you think?
Yeah. Let's look at Henry Costa, and then we can come to the question: how did he get to prominence? What I have read out there, and even when I listened to Mr. Costa himself, he did say that yesterday. And again, let me commend him for the fact that he asked the president. He said, "Here, Mr. President, we had the discussion we had was a private discussion. Cannot go public." He was never coerced to do that. And I think that was really professional on his part to decide to go public with that. Because if you and I have heard that he did that in private and he didn't disclose it, then the kind of reactions that we're getting now, it would have been worse than what is happening now. You understand? So Mr. Costa decided to go public. Now, back to his history, Henry Costa came to prominence. Winston Tubman, you remember when Winston Tubman and Mr. Weah pair up, it was Winston Tubman that took Mr. Henry Costa and the now Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Nathaniel McGill, to the CDC when they had a merger. They supported the candidacy of Mr. Weah. Mr. Weah ran as president, and Tubman went as his vice presidential candidate. That's how the relationship started. Later on, when the
I thought
2017
it was the
election,
opposite. I thought Winston Tubman was the presidential candidate
yeah, okay,
and Weah was the vice presidential
vice
candidate.
presidential candidate, yeah.
Okay.
So they had a team, and they went for the election. They didn't win, and the relationship was still there. Since then, there has been relationship with Mr. Weah and Henry Costa and the CDC and all of that. It is my understanding that in following the 2017 election, Henry Costa was still supporting the new administration. Later on, things fell apart. They all went their separate ways. Over a year, when I listened to Mr. Costa today, I mean yesterday, he did say that it has taken over a year that he has never spoken to President Weah. So before even the call came in, one of the insiders of the administration, he didn't name the president, but an insider of the administration reached out to Mr. Costa, say, "Hey, Henry, when was the last time you talked to him?" He said, and Henry said, "But how can I talk to this man? And, we're not cool like that before. And I assume he has blocked my number." And the gentleman said, and the individual said to him, "Hey, that hasn't happened yet." And then, to the amazement of Henry Costa yesterday, he got his phone call from the president. The call dropped, and he decided to return the call. When he returned the call, the president picked up, and they talked for 20 minutes. So I'm telling you that these people have come a long way. There existed a relationship. The relationship crumbled along the way, and this could be another attempt to rekindle that. You know, so now there are people who say that, well, Henry Costa cannot be trusted. He's a man who can settle for the cash. I cannot speak to that because I do not know Henry Costa like that. And this is a public medium. I don't want to make any
Oh no,
claim that I
absolutely. Even
cannot
though
support.
even though
Yeah,
those are the things that we
yeah,
hear
yeah.
and
People
people
are saying
comment,
that. Yeah, people
and
are
but
saying that.
even Henry himself knows that folks have branded him that way,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and so that's why when some of the other folks from the opposition hear something like this, and
Hmm.
at this crucial time with the disintegration of the political conglomeration, that brings fear. Again,
Yeah,
as we said, Henry Costas is a crowd puller.
it's also
He's
yeah.
an influencer, in many ways, and
Hmm.
let's give him the credit for that.
Absolutely.
So again, it kind of raises eyebrows, and people are concerned. Um, we only heard from one party.
Yeah.
Okay, we have not heard from President Weah. So someone is asking us to confirm with the president's office whether this
I mean,
conversation ever took place. But I don't
yeah,
think that Costa will come out here
no,
and try to, make
no,
himself important
no.
that he had
It
a
won't.
conversation with President Weah. I'm sure there
And
was a conversation. Again,
of
the
course,
content, the content of the conversation, the overall conversation, we don't know
we
because there
don't
was
know.
no recording. He admitted that he did not record the president surreptitiously, uh, and he was gotten permission from him if he wanted to record. He even had to get permission to discuss the conversation. So even
I
if there are twists and turns, hopefully, and we'll get to know in due season. But I, the point we're trying to understand here is what is the implication
yeah,
at this
political.
crucial time
Hmm.
when again we said the CPP is almost obsolete. no one knows his plight right now, because that will drive us into the next phase of this conversation as we go along.
And
Charles Crawford is saying that there's so many things that we can be discussing rather than a conversation between President Weah and Henry Costa. But Charlie, a conversation between the current president and again a social media influencer,
okay.
a voice
A very
for
strong
the
critic too, for that
opposition.
matter.
Yeah, it raises brows and is I think is a kind of conversation to analyze. Um, what does it mean? And in due seasons, what will it do for the political, you know, uh, campaign, the political
Season.
season, and all of that?
I agree. And yeah, 100% right. And again, let me tell my brother and friend Charles that we are looking at two individuals, just the names alone. News. Do you know what it means if the president of the Republic of Liberia takes his phone and reach out to Moses Sandy, national president emeritus of Aja? That would be on top of the news. Whether someone likes it or not, it would be on news. If Mr. Weah calls Joe Mason today, it will be on news because these people are what? Newsmakers. Henry Costa is indeed a newsmaker, whether we like it or not. The president reached out to him. It's laudable. It is news. It was discussion. So let's clear about that. So now let's come back to this. Let's look at the implications, right? Now, the question that most people will ask is that, okay, what does this mean? Henry Costa spoke to those national issues, right? Raising corruption in the country, the lack of what? Rule of law in Liberia. Mr. Weah's, gross ineptitude in leading Liberia. Now, since Mr. Weah has reached
And not
out
not
to,
just
to
Mr.
Henry
Weah, but
Costa,
even some of
yeah,
his, not just Mr. Weah, but even some of his, I would call
his
confidants.
officials, yeah, his combatants,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah,
Beku Jr.
yeah,
He unearthed some of the things that's trending in the country relatable
mhm,
to corruption. In
yeah,
fact, he talked about Paul Sethi, the Sethi
mhm,
brothers folks, and their relationship with the government giving monopoly to that, company to do certain things that Liberian businesses could do, taking
yeah,
over all, Henry unearthed some very critical things that Liberian people need to know. So I think the fear here is that if he gets bored or brought over to the ruling class going into 2023, that silence a lot of
issues,
important things.
yeah, yeah,
So we can sit here and say that this conversation should not be scrutinized, should not be discussed between a president who is seeking second term
yeah,
with a vocal voice or advocate for the opposition.
yeah.
That's conversation to hold.
Of course, Volcano. So, like we were saying, so now, are we going to see maybe 2, 3 weeks from now that Henry Costa tone will change? These are the questions that we need to begin to ask, right? When Mr. Costa speak to those contemporary issues, when Mr. Costa continue to hold Mr. Weah accountable, when Mr. Costa continue to say, hey, Mr. Weah, you need to fight graft, or is he going to say everything is okay? These are the questions that we need to begin to ask. When Mr. Costa say, hey, the healthcare system of Liberia is
Or
deplorable.
or
Yeah.
let me just add to you,
Mhm.
now that he's planning to visit Liberia in July,
Yeah.
will he mellow down?
Yeah.
Will he turn off or tune
Mhm.
off?
Mhm.
You know, um, so that he doesn't, reawaken and reignite the flame. So you know, will he
Yeah.
be the same Costa, the same vocal Costa?
That we
So I
that
think
we
I
know.
think that's where all of these you know conceptions and misconceptions are coming from, and people are very concerned if whether this one phone call could change
The Henry Costa that we
the
have known over the
situation,
years. Yeah.
modify his behavior, modify his attitude toward uh, the ruling party, and make things change. So again, we want to commend the president. We also want to commend Mr. Costas for coming forth to enlighten the Liberian people that there was a conversation, and encapsulating the key points of the conversation, even though we don't know the other behind the scene part of the conversation. But just the fact that they had a conversation means a lot, because
And
Costa said that he felt the president had blocked him. He had no
yeah,
more access, but the president said he never blocked him. I
yeah,
guess it was some kind of technological issue with his phone or so forth. But now that the flame has been, reunited, would there be a relationship going forward? Would that relationship, you know, cool off Costas? Will it make him continue to be himself? I think that's where the Liberian people who are on the other side are concerned, and I'm sure some of the people on the inside are also concerned. Um, you know, what would this mean for
absolutely.
the political process?
The political process is it that the administration want to exploit Mr. Henry Costa to help them win the 2023 presidential election, and right after that again, they look the other way. Is that what they intend to do? Now, how is this going to affect Mr. Costa and um, former Vice President Joseph Boakai? How is this going to affect the relationship? Whether we like it or not, Joseph Boakai is to this Liberia foremost opposition to George Weah. So having someone who is considered a quote unquote confidant of Joseph Boakai forming alliance again with George Weah, how is that going to affect that relationship? That's the question that Boakai supporters are asking now. Even the vice president himself, I'm sure he's concerned about that. I'm sure Mr. Costa himself is concerned about that. This morning I listened to him. He said, hey, his support to Mr. Boakai remains unwavering, but now he finds himself in a real tough spot. Is he going to maintain that cordial tie with the CDC that he once spoke against? Now the president has reached out. He said, hey, my man, we are friends. I have not done anything. I have nothing in mind against you. We are friends. You're welcome to Liberia. And look at this volcano. According to Mr. Costa, the president told him that, hey, the Liberian government has nothing against him, right? He said, you can come. Liberia is a country. But this is the same government that has refused to look at Mr. Brani Samuka in similar condition. Brani Samuka is accused of what? Misapplying funds for AFL soldiers. When the administration came to power, Mr. Weah administration said, hey, government is continuity. Because Mr. Samuka said that he acted based on presidential directive. The government paid over $460,000. Now the very government has prosecuted him, even though they are given some clemency. But they say, hey, Mr. Samuka, you just can't take your seat. Now you have a Henry Costa. You see the double standard? You have a Henry Costa that the very government accused of breaking its laws. The very government initiated the process of having this man extradited to Liberia. And the chief law enforcement officer of the country has come to say, as far as he's concerned, Liberia has nothing against him. So what is going on here? Volcano, you want to speak to that?
Well, I mean, I'm not even going to equate the two situations.
Yeah,
Uh, One has to do with something completely different, and
yeah,
this one, of
mhm,
course, is still a,
yeah,
violation
yeah.
accordingly of the,
Violations
yeah,
are
yeah, of
violations.
the
Yeah,
laws.
yeah,
But I believe that, and that's what Costa said, is you put it in writing. He
yeah,
wants the Ministry of Justice to put it in writing that he's not a wanted man,
Hmm.
that he's not, going to be persecuted if he came to Liberia. The
Hmm.
president showed him, and I'm sure probably the president will follow up with the Minister of Justice. And he also wants a personal invitation to the July 26th celebration.
Yeah,
And I think these are the signals to give him the assurance that yes, you can come.
he's a
You
free
can come
man.
to Liberia and you will
Hmm.
be fine.
Yeah,
Um, so let's see how it plays out. Someone just accused Costas of not providing information about LEC. He said he will come up with some kind of information, and he thinks that the president is James Mulva. He thinks that Costa
oh.
is already backing down because he should have come up with this information, and they asked him, but he refused to talk about it.
So you
So
see, you see that volcano.
yeah, yeah. So that's
Yeah,
what I said. Um, but again, Moses, I think that. Uh, a lot of people say here that Florence Kingsley Costa is not going to join the CDC. He has put his support behind JNB. Costa even called JNB and explained to him that the president calls him. Costa is never ever going to leave JNB for any reason.
yeah.
But Costa was not with JNB few years
Years
ago.
ago,
He
no, it
declared
was
that
no.
JNB could not be president. So anything can happen,
Anything
So
can
I
happen.
believe that we will just um, kind of let this part of the conversation, we've analyzed it, let
Yeah,
the Liberian people continue to, uh, discuss it, and let's see where this goes. Whether Henry will be the same potent Henry,
Henry that we
or
knew.
he's going to mellow out, slow down. Let's see how this plays out. But again,
And
I believe
and
that the conversation probably was in good faith on the part
it
of President
was.
Weah,
It was.
uh, who again, President Weah is a busy man. He got his leisure activity, his busy leisure activity, and he has the country to run. So maybe he didn't know that, you know, things were not working up with him calling Costa and time. But you and I have the
Yeah,
best of relationship, Moses. Some
yeah,
days we go for 2.5 days
yeah.
we don't
We don't
talk.
even talk. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Hmm. Yeah,
because
yeah.
people are busy. So apparently the president has lost track that he even had conversation with Costa, and
Costa,
Costa
yeah,
thought that reaching out to the president couldn't get him,
yeah.
meant that his number rather was blocked.
Was blocked.
And
Yeah,
so let's see that they have again rekindled. They have
yeah.
trashed all the differences. They've declared the air, and let's see how this going forward will play out in the sight of the Liberian people. Again, people are just concerned why this time, why this call, and what motive is behind this call. So
Absolutely.
many of the folks say that Costa will stand behind JNB. Nothing will change the man. They're holding fast to believing that Costa is going to stay with the opposition uh, until 2023 comes. So
And
again,
and and
viewers,
and let me just say this, Volcano, before we roll to next talking point. What this phone call has done, it has put Mr. Henry Costa in a real tough spot. His credibility, his credibility is now under the microscope. People would never even monitor his broadcast consistently. We'll begin to monitor his podcast on a regular basis. They want to know whether the Henry Costa that they knew a few months ago is going to be a different Henry Costa as of tomorrow. If Henry Costa begins to mellow or he begins to look the other way, then of course he's going to prove his detractors right. If he continues to maintain the stance of objectivity, speaking to those core issues, holding the administration accountable, holding Mr. Weah accountable, then of course his rating is going to go extremely high. So the ball is now in the court of Mr. Costa to either prove the people right that hey, Henry Costa is all after money, or Henry Costa is a man of substance, is a man of credibility. Let's leave it at that.
Thank you, Moses. If you just
Hmm.
joining us, welcome to the 57th edition of the Issues Room. You were here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the Issues Room page. We want to welcome you, our viewers and listeners. Nehemiah Kamanda, good evening, welcome. Nelly K. Harris, we say welcome to the Issues Room. Mike Jabater. Uh, is this the Mike Jabater,
Yeah.
the famous Mike Jabater?
Yeah.
Or is there another Mike Jabater? But it's good to have you here with us in this conversation. We'll be opening the lines momentarily at 8 o'clock to give some of you the opportunity to call in and join the conversation. We adore. Good to have you, Florence Kinsley, Sam Larmain, watching from Monrovia. Sam, it's good to have you. I'm here in Monrovia as well. Lawrence Powell, thank you for coming in tonight. James Cowboy Moba, also thank you for coming. Patrick Swami, thank you for coming in. Koli Katakor, Deborah Annie Croman, and Henry Papa Mason, and the rest of all of you wonderful folks, including Vera Horace and Ella Hook from Atlanta, Georgia, Charles Crawford, Jennifer Jarlee, and Mario Mason, and Adiahai Umo, and Sakar Dean, Franken Wood, or Wuken Frank. Thank you so much for coming through, and Reverend Momolu Freeman. Continue to share the link, continue to invite someone to join the conversation here tonight. We appreciate your time and your effort. The issues room is on Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US and 11 p.m. here in Liberia or those countries within the Greenwich time zone. Moses, uh,
Yeah.
quite frankly, you know, we talked about the CPP over the last several
Mhm.
months
Yeah.
and what is happening to the CPP. We, before our very eyes, begin to see the CPP disintegrate. Uh, Political institutions started to walk away. And the purpose of the CPP, accordingly, was to conglomerate resources, political expertise, political strength, bringing the constituents and voters, together to go against the ruling party. And the ruling party is also a network, meaning the NPP and that of the CDC.
Right.
Um, but whatever happened to the CPP, we blame it on partly greed, because certain people feel that it has to be them. Uh, but it also came from another point where people said that documents were tampered with, things were changed, and so certain political institutions felt disenfranchised. That there was no credibility in the process anymore, and so they decided to walk away. The latest is the Liberty Party.
Yeah.
Moses, talk to our folks. Tell us exactly what is happening right now. Is the Liberty Party the last political institution leaving the CPP? And if that be the case, then the CPP is finally extinguished.
Absolutely. But the challenge we have is that the Labour Party is no longer a unified political party. The party found itself divided. We have the Senator Yombly Kanga Lawrence faction, which brings together other prominent members of the party, including Senator Ibrahim Daros Delon. And whether we like it or not, Liberal Party, I would not want to say a Basel party, but the stronghold of Liberal Party is Grand Basel County. Yombi Kanga Lawrence represents Grand Basel County in the Senate. Abraham Darius Dillon represents Maserati County in the Senate. These guys, they have strong support amongst the people of or Bassa speaking people, coming from Rebels and other people. All of these people, they have strong support among these people and they support the party. Mr. Musa Belete faction brings together a group of individuals from Nima County and some people from the Madingo ethnic group. The founding father of Labour Party is a Madingo, was a Bassa man. So the Bassa people assume that, hey, this is our party. And honestly speaking, I don't know how far Musa Belete is going to take this, but he has an uphill task. You know, uh, the Bassa speaking people that stand with Yom Kanga, Lawrence, Darius Dillon, and the others, they say, hey, we are walk away. We have walk away. Better tell you and your people can do whatever you want to do. Now they say they're standing with Edison Cummings. So we have a faction with Mr. Cummings. And the argument Mr. Cummings and Mr. Belete are making is that, hey, nobody can easily break away from the CPP. There's a clause. And that is what brought this whole internal rift in the CPP. Because ALP, the All Liberian People Party, the Unity Party, the Labour Party, headed by Yombi Kanga Lawrence, the three political groups argued that Mr. Cummings and Mr. Belete and the others, they, on a shared condition, included a clause that says that, hey, no one can easily break away. And that's the document that they submitted to the National Elections Commission. UP, ALP, and Lawrence Kanga Lawrence faction are saying that the document which they signed they signed in 2019 does not reflect that. The clause which makes it difficult for any of the parties to walk away from the CPP was never in our document. Belete and Edison Cummings are arguing that, hey, everything we submitted was what? Original. It's the original document. So this is the foremost crisis in the CPP. That's why they say why the document was tampered with. The document was altered. Mr. Cummings, Bilitis, and others are saying no, they didn't alter any document. And so today we have a case. That's why you have the Solicitor General and others involved, because if a crime is committed, then the state gets forgery. The allegation is forgery, and forgery is felony. So that's why you have the Solicitor General and others involved in the prosecution. So if it is established that, yes, indeed, that document was forged, then of course, Mr. Cummings, we have to face some legal consequences for that. I am not saying he did. I am saying if it is established legally that there was an act of forgery, then it becomes a crime against the state. That's why the Solicitor General is representing the interests of the Liberian government in this matter. You see? So, technically, when we look at what is happening with all these people walking away, CPP has crumbled. Volcano, the CPP has crumbled. Mr.
So,
Weah,
so,
yeah,
so
go ahead.
with the withdrawal of the Unity Party,
Yes.
whose standard bearer
Mhm.
at the time was the chairman
Yes.
of the CPP when all of these issues were coming about and the disintegration. We didn't hear much from the standard bearer, and his political institution walked away,
Right.
even while he was chairman.
Mhm.
Am I right?
Yes.
So, so that tells you that then the CPP was left with no leadership.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we make that? Can we make
Yes,
that
we can. Yeah,
that
because the
statement?
matter. So right now, no leadership. No
So the
leadership.
last political institution standing in the CPP is now the ANC.
The ANC. technically it's now the ANC. Even though Benedict say he's recognized by the National Elections Commission, so as far as concerned, he has
So
a
so so
functioning
his
Labour
his
Party.
faction, so his faction and the ANC now make up
Make up the
the
CPP.
CPP
Yeah.
at this point.
hmm Can they pull it up for Canada? Can these two gentlemen pull it out? And let's look at the individuals. Again, we're not doing that because we support a particular candidate, but we're just being objective here. And Mr. Cummings came third, right? In the 2017 election. He won over 100,000 votes. So that tells you that he has an uphill task for the presidency. He cannot easily win the presidency of Liberia. Musa Belete, this is a man with what a touch of character. He has credibility problems, serious credibility problems, locally and internationally. You know the situation with him and FIFA. He's one of those Africans prosecuted or accused by FIFA for what? Dishonesty. Locally, there are claims against him by the Liberian government for shady deals.
You
So
mean
it
this
means
Liberian government?
previous administration. Have you,
Oh, not this
do
government.
you remember the Road Fund? Musa Belete, the Road Fund. That case went to
So,
court.
but why is Musa ability? Is he intending to be president? Is that what you're saying? Is
No, the
he
point.
running to be a political
No,
aspirant? I mean,
well,
presidential aspirant?
don't forget that right now, the Belete faction of the Labour Party and the ANC, they got their own issue going now. Do you remember when they issued the press statement saying that, hey, we signed an MOU with
Agreed. And I
ANC,
think the
and
ultimatum.
then at that time they did when they signed the MOU, the understanding was that Labour Party will put forth a vice presidential candidate that will run with Alexander Comey if he succeeded in becoming standard bearer of the CPP. So they got their own issue going right there,
Yeah.
you know. And it
So
is
I think.
speculated that Musa Belete, is eyeing that position. So I don't know how successful is that going to be. Yeah,
So I'm not concerned about their relationship as two
yeah,
political institutions. What we're
yeah.
trying to understand here is whether the CPP is finally collapsed, and
Of
if
course.
so, uh, we still have two political institutions standing, a
Yeah.
faction of the LP and
hmm
the ANC.
Yes.
So even though they still have their own issues, I know that there was an ultimatum given
hmm
by the LP branch of headed by Musa
But
Beledi
Musa Belete,
for
they gave
is
them
it
April
April
15th.
15th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Um.
He said,
So
man, get your ass together or else we will decide the future. That's what they said. That they're going to decide if nothing happens before April 15th. And
well, James Moba is claiming that he disagrees with me.
yeah.
He claims that Cummings refused to come to the table, and Mr. Baga, said several times that he invited Mr. Cummings to a meeting several times, and he refused to attend those meetings. But
Okay.
if he is the standard bearer and his political institution walks away from the conglomeration, then of course it makes it, with our
Difficult.
leadership. That's the point we're making here.
Yeah. The CPP has crumbled for Kano. The CPP has crumbled. The CPP right now has no leadership. It only exists in name. That's what happening. Um, the ANC and Mr. Bennett's faction of the Labour Party cannot make any impact in this process. Uh, for Mr. Bennett, and Mr. Cummings to move forward politically, they would need the support of other political parties. How successful are they prepared I mean, how prepared are they to do this successfully? Do they have the support? Do they have the political support to be able to do this? That's the question that most people are asking. And the thing here is that no one political party can pull it up. To win the presidency of Liberia, you need 50 plus percent as a candidate to win the presidency. The need for political alliance is extremely high at this time. So all of these political parties need to work together. They need to be clear about that. I know my colleague Volcano is having some technical problem in Monrovia.
I'm back,
It's gonna
Moses.
make a yeah. I'm
Yeah,
happy that you
just
came back. Yeah.
I'll be back
Mhm.
very briefly. Continue
Yeah,
to.
yeah. So as I was saying that it is very difficult for any one political party to pull it up. All of these political parties need support from one another. They need to collaborate. They need to form political alliances. Other than that, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult. Even the CDC needs support. Don't forget, George Weah cannot easily win 2023. That's why he's reaching out. That's why the CDC is reaching out. They're doing everything they can to mend fences.
You think they're gonna
When
come to the issues room?
well, we are here. We are not politicians. We just discuss the contemporary issues. But for Canada, honestly speaking, they need support. Why you think George Weah plays that phone call? It has political undertone, whether we like it or not. He needs Henry Costa. Yeah.
Well, listeners and viewers, the lines are open. Please call in. The number is 404-272-2808. Please utilize WhatsApp. Please utilize WhatsApp, as you can see there, the WhatsApp application to make the call, and we'll bring you in studio. So if you want to contribute tonight, to the conversation verbally, then call us on 404-272-2808 via WhatsApp, please, because I am not in America. We will utilize WhatsApp as a means of making that connection since we're here uh, broadcasting from Monrovia, from the main studio. So again, use a WhatsApp to call. So yeah. So um, eh, do you think that any other political party will want to join the CPP if the last two pieces are still standing? We have the PLP. We have Tier One Gonglo, who is I
Yeah.
don't even know his political party yet.
Yeah.
I don't know the name. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure
I'll
either.
have to
I need to
look
check
at.
that as well.
I'll do some quick research around it. We just had another guy comes in called Dr. Telford
Oh
Ammons.
wow. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
he's been having a few interview. In fact, I was privileged to be in his company in Paris.
Okay.
When I was in France in transit, and we had a very good conversation. But I didn't know he had the intent
Mhm.
to come to Liberia.
Okay.
So he was kind of brain picking, and we were uh, having low conversation around the construct of the political arena, and how you know the people perceive the voters, and we're also looking at the state of condition in the country. And then recently I was in another conversation where one of the local journalists here said that they had just interviewed him, where he made it known that he's in the country to declare his intent
Intention. Yeah.
to run. So we can imagine how many more people uh, with similar aspiration will come to the forefront in the coming months as we, come closer to 2023. So again, as we mentioned earlier, 2023 is the defining year for our nation's elections. For all other elections, I don't think 2023 Any one of them would top 2023. It's going to be a muddy water. We will have catfish, we'll have buka, all playing in our muddy water. That the politics going to be so messy,
Forget
and
it.
yeah, yeah, you go. If you're trying to catch catfish in the muddy water, it's so slippery, and then you got buka on the other side. So it's going to be a dirty, dirty field tip
Yeah.
political season in 2023. We're going to see new faces on the block. Liberian people, again, I said they're going to be confused. They're going to go in that booth to vote, and they'll do any, mini, money, more.
Yeah.
Because again, the same thing we're talking about here. People are not able. Liberian man is not able to form conglomerates and
Mhm.
remain committed, even in the
Yeah.
business sector. How many times you've seen Liberians conglomerated to do a business, a major business?
No.
Everyone wants it by him or herself.
Right.
We're not able to govern our resources. Look right there in America.
People
People
can
are
form conglomerations. That's what people do. They form conglomerations, they work together, put the resources together, and move forward. Ours is individualistic. It's all about ourselves. We want it our way. If it is not our way, it is not good. So most of the time, we find it real difficult working together as a team. Even in community organizations, we go to community organizations, we have our own agendas, and that just makes things real difficult. I know Volcano is again experiencing technical glitch in Monrovia, and that's understandable. He's in a third world country, so his internet connectivity seems to be having problem. He's going to come back. He's obviously going to come back, and let's just continue having the discussion tonight. Wherever you are, you can call
I'm
us.
here, Moses.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Volcano.
Yeah, so like I was saying, there will be a lot of faces, and again, the Liberian people are going to be confused. My thing here is I don't know why we cannot conglomerate. I don't know why we cannot put resources together and we never hold. Like the guy is saying here, even churches are separated from the personal gain. I
Of
mean, rather
course.
for the personal gain.
Yeah.
You will find people that will start a little church and then they have disagreement. Then the other man pulls out and he go and start his fellowship in his living room, and then sooner or later he looking for a space to buy, and then we have a new church. Uh, and we will have again the institution turns into factions,
Yeah.
and you have the independent. This one, we're just not able
To
to
work
hold
together.
together for a specific cause.
Yeah. And
and
in
and
fact,
and go ahead.
I just wanted to piggyback quickly on what you said regarding the church or churches. Uh, the two of us will come together, organize a church, and once the offerings and the tithes begin to come, then I'm saying now, Volcano, this church, yeah, the one who put forth the idea, it is my church. Can you imagine that? All the efforts, all the time you put into this, once we notice that things are beginning to pick up now, I'm telling you, it is my church. Oh, my man, if you don't like it, you can go. We have seen so many churches crumble like that because people just can't work together. Greed. Like I
And
always say,
Moses,
Volcano, greed.
listen to this part.
Mhm.
That very CPP that came together,
Yeah.
I'm sure that some people already knew their role, and that's why they clearly defined their role. Better than you knew his role with ALP, that family party. He ain't
Yeah.
even got followers. He said, I just want to be tagging along. I
Yeah.
just want to be relevant. So I'm not even gonna ask for anything. I don't want to be
Yeah.
president. I
Yeah.
just want to be here. I
Yeah. I
want to
will
be friend to
support Joseph
Baka.
Boga.
Yeah, I want to be friend to Baka. Right?
Yeah.
Then you have the Liberty Party. The Liberty Party, they didn't want any relevance to the table
No.
because its original standard bearer, the late Charles Brumskin, was not alive to make that case. Because
Hmm.
if Charlie was alive,
That
he
would
and
not
Joseph
happen.
Baca would be going toe to toe, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he's a relevant guy. just
Mm-hmm.
as powerful as that of Mr.
Joseph
Barker.
Walker. Yeah.
So the
Mm-hmm.
so the party came into and said, wait, we ain't want anything here, but we hang around. Maybe the woman will pick the woman to be vice
Yeah.
president. This is
That's
the
right.
new trend.
Yeah.
Then you got Mr. Alexander Cummings, who
Who
said, "What I
comes
mean,
in?
I'm a big dog too. I ain't coming in this thing to be in the back seat. I'm
Yeah.
making it known that I'm coming here because I want to win. So no matter the circumstance, let's go to convention. Let's select
Yeah,
who
whoever.
has,
Mm-hmm.
the
The
people
support.
behind, yeah,
Yeah.
the electors or the delegates behind them to make the case.
Yeah.
So when you look at the conglomeration or the configuration of the CPP from the onset, people already knew their role.
Yeah. And
All
that
right,
just yeah, and it just defeated the purpose.
it
That should
defeated
not
the
happen.
purpose.
It
So
shouldn't
there was
happen.
there wasn't much of a competition to
Right.
make the case.
Mm-hmm.
So they were there tagging along in the process to hopefully gain some high ministerial positions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the two folks who really want to be president is Mr. Boyka and Mr. Cummings.
Comments,
Mr.
yeah.
Boyka claims to have the 40-year plus
Experience.
public service experience. Mr. Cummings claims to have the executive business executive
Experience.
leadership experience.
Right.
Um, both people have credibility. Uh, we can't talk about Cummings corruption because he's never worked in government in Liberia, and
No.
and I'm sure there's nothing to find on him in corporate America.
Of
Same
course.
for Mr. Boyka,
Right.
who has been a humble public servant over his lifetime, and so, but oh, the no Boyka more than the no Cummings. Oh, Cummings came too late. And so Boyka needs to be the front runner and Cummings should tag along and follow him. And that's the best ticket. So people were already making these cases
Right.
before they even went. And you and I know that, what's his name? Ben and I, you were openly saying, oh, man, they coming in, you coming in here with my papi, Boyka is the one I'm carrying.
Yeah.
So there was the CPP was already factionalized
Yes.
from the
And
onset of his creation. So how could we sit here believing that this conglomeration was
could
going to
have worked.
last?
Yeah, it could not. It could not. It
So people
started.
didn't really analyze it from the onset
Mhm.
that it had to be humility, okay, love for country, patriotism. Sit in the room and say, listen, the intent here is for Liberia to be freed of the CDC leadership since it's that bad. So we will compromise here. And at the beginning, this is the construct, and this is what we want to achieve, and this is how we're going to go.
Yeah,
But they
I
left it
agree.
open.
I
And,
agree
and,
with
and,
you.
and then people started to play against people. And honestly, that's why this CPP did not last.
That's
Because from
all.
the
Yeah.
onset, it was already broken up, it was already splinterized. There was support for certain individuals, right? And who felt that those individuals were the proper one to take the helm of leadership.
Hmm.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, and
And so who knows if there's another conglomeration and it's gonna last.
that's true. I agree with you 100% because when you form a collaboration or when you decide to form a political alliance, you should do so giving everyone the opportunity to free participation. You cannot form an alliance of four political parties, and of the four political parties, you already have three of the parties supporting a particular candidate. And you say, oh, well, this is political alliance. This is political collaboration. So where is the collaboration? Support Joseph Boga? Because Alexander Cummings was already on his own, as we say in Liberia. He was the only man from the ANC. Yon Kanga, whether we like it or not, who leads the most dominant Liberal Party, already have her support. Why? He went to Joseph Boakai. ALPC Hey, 100%, Joseph Boakai. United Party, Joseph Boakai. So then, Mr. Cummings, why did you in fact come into this alliance? You had no space. Eh, for Canada?
So then, if you came in an alliance, then you should know your
Yeah.
position, and your position should have been clearly defined. So
From the
listen,
onset.
yeah, this is how we going, my
Yeah.
man. Don't even try that presidency if you're not going there. So if you're
Yeah.
coming in this conglomeration, come knowing that we can compromise that will make you vice presidential
President.
candidate to
Yeah.
our man who we already want. Then we
One.
won't have all this conversation today.
Mhm.
Then this thing not going to disintegrate. Then we don't have to think of part CPP document to
Yeah.
make it work for one political institution or the other.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
those things should have been clearly defined. And
Clearly.
any other political institution coming on board, like when we asked our man Daniel Cassidy, he said he want people to join him. He's not going to join anybody because, you know. But if for
Message,
any reason he has
very
to come
message for me.
over,
I got my
yeah,
PLP already. You will come. I'm
mhm,
not coming to join
yeah.
you.
So for any
Go ahead.
reason, if he looks at it come mid 2023 and say no, this thing, I don't think I can do it on my own, and he come in, then we cut his piece of pie and say, this is your pie, this is
Yeah.
your slice of the pie, and this is what you're
Yeah.
gonna get with your
Yeah.
political institution. And
I
if they
agree.
want to look at it and say, no, man, I can't stand on my own. He's coming in, we're gonna slice his pie, maybe we'll make you
Yeah.
justice minister, or we'll
Yeah.
send you back to labor, sends you the integrity man, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's the only way these kinds of things will work. But if everyone wants to be president, Moses, we're not going to have any conglomeration of a political institution that will work against the ruling party. And the ruling party is established. They know it. And
Of
I
course.
think they see a clear path to the presidency for a second term.
Of course. What is happening now? Mr. Weah and the CDC, they are just sitting back and having fun. In the last meeting election, that was what? 2020, right?
Yeah, it
2020,
was December.
2020,
Yeah.
yeah, the midterm election, right? Which brought the law and orders, to the Senate. You saw how the CPP performed. That shook the CDC.
Yeah.
It shook the CDC. But what happened? The CPP has crumbled. Now the Liberian electorates are what? Confused. They don't know where to turn to come 2023. How sure are they that they're going to be another collaboration that will really bring Liberians together? The
So let me do
CDC is setting
go
pretty
ahead.
well.
So let me do something here like a soothsayer, right? I'm
Yeah.
looking into the future now. I'm a fortune teller.
Mhm.
So we look at the future and say, okay, all of the political institutions going to go to the presidency, to the elections rather for the presidency independently. Uh, People believe that the CDC NPP cannot win a first term
Yeah.
um, during the elections. It has to go to a runoff, right?
Mhm.
That's why most people are thinking. But how sure are we that with all these splinterized political institutions, with 100,000 vote here, Benedict Year with 25,000 vote, you know, all of these votes could hamper uh, or prevent or impede the ruling party
Party
from
from
getting
winning.
up to 51, whatever the
Percent,
number
yeah.
is, right?
Mhm.
Albeit, if they went to the polls and they got to a point where they had to go to the runoff, you can imagine how much monies will be put
Of
forth.
course, yeah.
And who has the biggest money to put forth?
The
It's the
ruling
ruling
party.
party.
Mhm.
The ruling party now will go to those other political institutions where their candidates know clearly that they can win because the numbers will already be there,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be serious politics, filthy politics. If you think about it, what's going to happen? And so I'm just saying from a fortune teller perspective, So the opposition, if their sole intent is to remove the CDC, then they have a chance where money is not going to be put forth,
Yeah.
where things are not going to go crazy because they have one accord and they're able to say the biggest uh, uh, candidate right now with the most number is the candidate we should support
Right.
uh, to unseat the current
Uh,
leadership during the runoff. That would be the way. But at that point, if they don't see it from that perspective, then I think President we are going to be a second term president.
Absolutely.
So then
And
I ask myself and I ask you and I ask the Liberian people, what type of second term president would President Weah be?
yeah.
And I want to make a quick analogy. When you look at Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, her first term was very robust. She was pushing the envelope. She was moving. She was setting up things, and you could see the extra work that was
Yeah.
put into her first term. Come second term, it's laid back. I'm not going back. I don't care.
I don't
They
care.
can move me. I got my 6 years. Liberian people are fatigued. They're not going back to war. So I'll just do business as usual. We'll just chill. And she chilled her second year. Many of the things that should have been done, corruption skyrocketed.
Hmm.
Many of her friends and cronies and family members became millionaires overnight. So do we see this replicating itself? And the reason I say this, Moses, is because we all know in the first term of President Weah, many of his cronies, his friends, are very rich now. The numbers are there, the homes are there. The president himself has gotten rich, extra rich, with most of the things that he owns now.
Hmm.
So was there a fear that, listen, this is our time and this is probably this thing only going to be one term? Let's eat now. And because when it comes the second time, we may not be there the second time. But if they see a clear pathway to having the second term, what type of president would President Weah be? Is he going to change for the positive, or is it going to be the glide
And
to more malfeasance, the glide to more lack of rule of law, the glide rather to more uh, things that would be just business
yeah.
as usual. And,
Okay.
and I've been thinking about that.
Yeah. A very good question you asked for Canada. Look, you and I were here in the United States. When you are hired on a job, the first 3 months becomes very critical for you, right? So when you pass that probational period of 3 months, it means that you have already pleased your bosses. Hmm? But if you started within the probational period with malfeasance, going to work late, being unproductive, becoming controversial with your supervisors, what do you think they're going to do after 3 months? They let you go, right?
there will not be even after 3 months the firing you because you can't reach the 3 months.
You can't reach, right? They're going to
No,
let
no,
you
yeah,
go,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Then they got to make some justification.
Yeah,
Yeah. So they're not
yeah.
going to wait that you reach the
So,
3 months.
like, let's look at George Weah. When Mr. Weah ascended the presidency in 2018, in less than 6 months, what did he do? He started on the real bad footing. He led, he initiated the process of what? Malfeasance in Liberia. What did he do? He accumulated personal properties on a shady condition in less than 6 months. And what did we see? We saw malfeasance all over the place. Now, 6 months, I mean, you gave this man 6 years. 6 months, the 6 year is about to elapse. Come 2023. The expectation was that within the first 6 years, this guy would have been on the top of his what?
Game.
Performance, on top of his game, holding people accountable, ensuring that there's rule There's rule. I mean, what? There's good governance. That's what the rule of law. Volcano, you are in Liberia. You see the poor governance all over the place. You see the political inefficiency. You see Mr. Weah's inefficiency all over the place, right? And we're not doing that because we hate Mr. Weah. We are just speaking to those core issues. Mr. Weah has proven to Liberians, he has proven to the world that he lacks the ability to lead as president. So now come 2023 with a divided political opposition, and you give Mr. Weah another 6 years again. What happens to the future of Liberia? What do you think gonna happen? They may already let you down within the first 6 years, and you're giving another 6 years. Have you not compromised the future of your country? There will be no accountability. No one will be held accountable. When was the last time Mr. Weah ever terminated anyone from his administration for malfeasance? When was the last time the Liberian government ever prosecuted anyone in our country for failing to adhere to the rule of law? When was the last time? Can anyone from the CDC on this podcast tell us when was the last time anyone in our country was held for breaking the laws of Liberia?
And you mean from the ruling party?
From the
Because
ruling party. From
okay,
the ruling
because
party.
they're
Yeah,
people that they claim
yeah.
to
Anyone
be
from the ruling party. All these shady deals. The $25 million situation. Samuel Tue, who said he took money to Nuclear. What happened to him? Nothing. So you come, you get the people another 6 years again. Come 2023. You see why we say 2023 is critical? This is about the future of Liberia. Are you going to re-elect George Weah come 2023? We are speaking to this issue not because we have Mr. Weah, but we are just nationalists. We are looking at what is obtaining in the country, and we think the way forward is what? To have a political process that will be marked by honesty, have people of competence leading Liberia, and the opposition has failed Liberians. So the CDC, Mr. George Weah, they are sitting pretty well. The likelihood of Mr. Weah being re-elected is very hard now as compared to anyone in the opposition who is craving for the presidency. The UP cannot win the presidency by itself. Joseph Boakai cannot. Edisana Cumming cannot. When you allow these political parties to go, as parties of their own, they're going to be what? A second term. And that is where the ruling party will exert its authority. The CDC controls the resources of the country. The CDC has all of the political appointments. They call Moses Sandy, hey, Mr. Sandy, you are very critical. We promise you, man, you become Minister of Information. Go and replace our man, Ledger, who ran it. Volcano Shelton, we send you to the Ministry of Finance. And they begin to throw positions all over the place. What do you think going to happen? People will compromise. And George Weah will get what? A landslide victory. So our opposition people need to put their house together. Other than that, George Weah is going to be re-elected come 2023. That's my prediction. I don't know what you think.
but it's not everyone who sees it that way. I just from my little interaction here and there, people still believe in the opposition process. They think that there's still hope, and you will see in the coming months.
Okay.
Once a declaration has been made that people can canvass and begin to go around the country and campaign, they still believe that it's going to be a difficult task, but they don't think that it's easy even for the ruling party.
No, it's
uh,
not.
everyone going to have to play their cards well, and who really has the political savviness, the campaign savviness, will probably surmount to the top. um, but again, it's a long haul. What's percolating all over the place, you hear little chatters here and there. People are still hopeful in the opposition,
Yeah.
and the folks who are for the CDC are also optimistic that they're going to have a second term. But albeit, again, I'm saying that from what we see, apparently all of these political parties going to go to the poll trusting God. Because I've heard some of the political leaders say that,
Say
man,
by God's
listen,
grace.
anything can, yeah, my God told me that I'm going to be the president, so I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't need nobody. I only need God. But when you got God with only
Uh,
100,000 people, there's no way that you can be the president. You
no.
got to have the most number. And honestly, I think that we, it's a long haul, and let's just see how it plays out. Again, I'm looking at July. Things will begin to change. July, more noise will be made. New faces, I'm sure, will come to the scene, and hopefully by then they may try to reunite another political conglomeration to see, with clear definitions. As I said, people should know their role. People should already, like in the MOU between the ANC and the ability
And I do
faction.
want to party. Yeah.
Yeah, ability faction. They go in as vice president. That was clearly defined, and I think that's the only way out. So if everyone decides that it's going to be, Omen Boakai, then all other people coming in any union should then.
I agree. I agree. I know. I know you are frozen the game, Volcano, but I agree with you 100%. When you form an alliance or you form your collaboration, you should clearly define from day one Moses Sandy's role, Volcano Shelton's role, so that there will be no confusion. And the CPP crumbled because of that. They made this huge mistake. How do you form a collaboration and you have three presidents supporting one president, and you have one man standing by himself, and you call that collaboration? It doesn't work that way. It has to be clearly defined from day one. Hey, Mr. Cummings, you come into this CPP, you just come in here to be a supporter of the person that we stand behind because this is the person that we believe in. If they had done that, the CPP would have survived, but they didn't do that. ALP, UP, and Yombi Kangas, factions say, hey, this is Joseph Walker. And Mr. Cummings come. I don't even know why he decided to go in there, but as an educated man, he would have said, hey, I don't see the need of coming in here because the doors are already closed. I cannot make any progress. I want to be president. We are four, and out of the four, three of the members are supporting one candidate. So where am I? I'm standing by myself. So I don't know what Mr. Cummings' advisors are. And if they didn't advise him, then I'm sorry. The CPP has crumbled. No matter how Mr. Berete and Mr. Cummings, try to push this whole agenda of CPP, the CPP is now something of the past. The CPP will make no progress. The collaboration has crumbled. And I know President Weah and his CDC people are jubilating. They are doing everything they can to win the presidency come 2023. 2023 will be a critical period in the history of Liberia. You are in the issues room where the contemporary issues of the day are discussed. Today, we took a closer look at the phone call or the reach out by President George Weah to Mr. Henry Costa, a social media advocate. Mr. Costa is also a well known critic of Mr. Weah and the CDC. And we also discuss the current status of the CPP. Volcano, welcome back.
Yeah, Moses, I think we should just wrap up here.
Yeah, definitely we
We've already
should.
crossed the finish line. We're
Yeah,
having, again, there's nothing called electricity in Liberia. Everything is operated by generator. And so
yeah.
sometimes when, power is switched from one machine, everything shuts down. And then you
Okay.
have to, try to log in again. And that takes away time. Hopefully, we can have a safe ride. Have we ended at 8:30?
Yeah,
We wouldn't
regular
have
time
these
will not. Yeah.
yeah, this intermission. So
Mhm.
again, I think we should just call it a night. We've already
Definitely.
covered time.
Mhm.
So
Thank you.
yeah, we should be back here with the 58th edition on Friday. Uh, we'll know exactly what the theme will be by tomorrow Thursday. We'll have a
Sure.
promo out. Again, we want to thank everyone for coming in tonight, Moses. I thought it was just a good chit chat,
It was.
looking at
It
some of
was.
these relevant issues here. Uh, because again, Liberia is first in everything we say. This is not about any one person, it's about our country. And you and I will be gone. What type of Liberia do we leave? You know,
For our kids,
uh,
yeah.
for our kids, for the grandkids, the great grandkids. Is it that Liberia that they would be prepared to lead? Um, what preparation are we making for the young people to be successive leaders for tomorrow? So we always look at it from that perspective. Because I say this, Moses, and I say it emphatically, that President Weah will leave. Just like Ellen was there for 12 years. She left. If even President Weah stays for 12 years, he has to leave.
To leave.
You know, this thing now, military thing now, where you take it for life, and not happening again. So the process, the political process will play it out, right? So no more
Yeah.
army thing here. No more army thing. So people time will finish, whether it's one term, whether it's two term. In America, the American people say, my man, Trump, the way you talking plenty, will give you one term. It made him one term. The American people say, wait a minute, Biden, they one term we give you. Gas
Yeah.
price going to $5, $6. War in Ukraine, you even
So,
able
my
to
man, you
stop
gotta do
moving.
something, yo.
My man, we tired with you. We'll give you one turn. In fact, you owe. So these things gonna happen. So when
Yeah.
people, when people continue to think that their time will be forever, no, nothing lasts forever.
No, sure.
But Liberia would be here. Like I was in a conversation just on the 30 seconds. I told a guy that Liberia's problem is not Liberia, it's the Liberian people. It is the Liberian people. Because Liberia will be here. How many of the forefathers of us are not dead and gone,
Of course.
right?
So,
But
yeah,
Liberia's still here.
still
So
here.
you and myself will leave.
And
Liberia will be
others will
here.
come. Yeah.
Anybody who amassed the wealth you put all on the earth, it will stay here.
Yeah.
The same earth that you will be buried on, you can't carry all that wealth and put it in the hole with you. It will
Yeah.
stay.
You get
And I
your
still don't understand.
why. You still can't understand why people continue to do what they do. Greed, greed, greed. When you pass, you have your little room, 6 feet. That's it. So if you are literally, cheating your people only because you want to accumulate wealth overnight, well, it is up to you. Liberia will always be there. Governments will come and governments will go. We have seen several administrations that came and they left. Today we have the CDC. How's very soon the CDC will be a government of what? History. I know the game, like Volcano said, technical problem. technical glitch. He's having problem in Monrovia internet connectivity. But again, it's always pleasing to be in the issue zone where we discuss the news of the day. We came, we discuss, and we say these things, we discuss them objectively. We don't discuss them because we hate a particular individual or we hate a particular political group. No, we just speak as media personnel, uh, looking at the issues and cutting a spade a spade. That's what good journalism is about. Speak to the issues, not personality. So wherever you are, we want to say it was a pleasure being here with you tonight. And we'll be back on Friday with another interesting discussion. When my co-host Volcano Shelton comes back, we'll be wrapping this broadcast. Again, let me apologize that he's off the platform because he's experiencing technical problem in Liberia. Internet connectivity in the country is horrible. We say Liberia is 175 years old, yet we are still the least on the continent. Again, Volcano is understandable. I know he's doing everything he can to come back. He's going to join us. We both of them, the oldest independent African country or the oldest independent country in Africa, yet we are one of the least developed. And why? Greed. Our political leaders are mainly concerned about themselves. They don't look at the good of the country. Everybody comes, want to build mansion overnight, accumulate wealth overnight. So, Volcano, thank you.
Thank you, Moses. Man, listen,
Sure.
it's frustrating.
It's
This
understandable.
this
Understandable.
this is 200 years of existence, and this country is still in darkness. In darkness, I'm telling
Yeah,
you,
I just said
electricity
it
is
before you do
rationed.
that.
It's
Yeah,
unfortunate, man. Listen,
very
the thing
sad.
that we take for granted in America,
Yeah,
it's like gold dust here to have electricity. It's like what's
I,
that
I
that
know. Yeah.
what to say is a privilege or is a right. In
Uh,
Liberia, it's not a right.
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
I'll put it
yeah,
this way:
yeah. It's a
it's not a right.
privilege. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not a right
Because
because
yeah,
if it was a right, every
then
Liberian
you have it.
will
Yeah,
have
you have
access
it.
to it. So
Yeah,
it's not a
yeah.
right.
It's a
It's a
privilege. Yeah,
privilege to have electricity because the folks who take away from the country's coffers are
they have.
able,
They
many of
enjoy
them
it.
are able
Mhm.
to purchase generator, and the few people who, business people who are able to buy the low generator, the private citizens are also able to. So it becomes a privilege.
A privilege, right?
It
It's not
becomes
a
a
right.
privilege.
Mhm.
It's not free to all. It's not affordable. It's not available to all. So you you can imagine for more than 30 years we've been running this country on generator for more than 30 years.
Yeah,
Inconsistent,
it's not.
rationed electricity.
I
That's a
agree
whole
with
nother
Kenna.
conversation by itself,
Yeah,
and it
with
becomes
Kenna.
frustrating. It becomes frustrating. How can we industrialize our country? How can we really move this country forward with a lack of electricity? Every day they're planting wires, they're hanging light poles. Planting light poles and hanging wires, but still the electricity can't come. They say, oh, the whole city will be later by March 15th. We stay in the dark. They bring it for one side. In fact, they got what we call community time. So GSA Road gets it. Then we move from GSA Road, we turn it to Dupo Road the next day. Then we move from Dupo Road, we take it to AB Tower era. We
Mhm.
take it to ERW. So, you know, so you can call a man and say, my man, you know, no current coming this time, but I can't
Yeah.
sleep on your side because it's too hot on my side. What kind of thing is that?
So and quickly before you go, Volcano, can you imagine
Yeah,
if you
but
have
yeah, let's
someone with a serious medical condition? How is this person going to live in Liberia?
yeah.
It's sad. Very
Again,
sad situation. Yeah.
we can come back to this conversation another day.
Yeah.
But the truth here is, I don't think this is so important. I don't think
Yeah.
this is so
Yeah,
important.
I agree. Yeah.
If the people who can afford it, the privileged who can afford electricity, for them it's fine.
It's
The
sad.
patriot's mind is not supposed to be for the rich.
I got it. Hmm.
This is supposed to be for everyone. It's a
Hmm.
right.
It's all right. It
It should
shouldn't
be
be our
affordable. It
privilege.
should be accessible to
Yeah.
the people. And
Hmm.
that's why we're having these interruptions here tonight. So Moses, man, we'll catch up on Friday by the grace of
Sure.
God. We'll talk
Sure.
tomorrow during the course
Yeah.
of the
Have a
day.
great
I
time,
want to
man. It
thank
was a
you.
pleasure.
It
Hmm.
was a wonderful conversation.
It
Hopefully, we'll
was
have something better on Friday. We're in the works of having something better. We
good.
encourage our viewers and listeners, all of you who are here tonight, to continue to share our platform, share the link, tell more folks about the Issues Room. We are the alternative.
Definitely,
Conversation
yeah.
is not one of those regular kinds of conversations you hear on Facebook. We
No.
talk with substance, with content analysis, and we present the issues. And we want you to partner with us. Come in the Issues Room, make yourself known, call us, talk with us. Let the Liberian people hear you and hear your comments as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to all of you who are here tonight on the
Thank you.
57th edition Volcano Shelton Moses Sandy. Good night to you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shelton. All right. Bye bye.